Good morning and welcome to this goal setting training video. So my name is Graham Webber and I'm a mindset and performance coach. So essentially my job really is kind of threefold, and it's to look at why we don't do things, particularly things that we know will help us. Whether this is to do with our health and fitness and well-being, our businesses, managing our teams, relationships. Most of us know what to do to improve things, but for some reason we don't carry those things out and follow them through. So my job is to really look at why we don't do things. There's a ton of books and resources out telling you what to do. I say a lot of us simply don't take action. And my interest and my business and career is based around why we don't do those things. And I want to do that by doing two things. That's creating doubt in your current story and creating certainty in your future action. So often we won't take action because we lack a level of certainty. So we prefer to stick with what we know. So my approach is to create doubt in the things that you're currently doing and to create more certainty in the things that you know you should be doing. And with that, we then create less stress and help you make more progress. Like I say, I work with business owners, managing partners, parents, individuals, workers, around things like health and fitness, relationships, business development, and really I'm able to coach so many different outcomes because all problems and goals will come from the same root belief. They just show up differently. So for some people, it will show up in their emotional eating, others will show up in procrastination, others will show up in exercise addiction, some may be shopping, some may be alcohol. So everything shows up differently, but when we get down to the root, there's so many common things that we all share that when we get down to that real root belief, that's where we can make such a massive difference. So for the rest of this video, we really need to kind of get to grips with how your brain works and what's going on with your brain. Because obviously your brain determines your thoughts will determine your actions, and your actions will determine your level of success. So you'll see in a minute that there are really kind of three key parts to your brain, each with a unique priority. One is concerned with physical safety, keeping you alive. One is concerned with emotional connection and forming teams, groups, tribes, families, etc. And another part of the brain is concerned with growth and development. And they will come in that specific order. So both from an embryological development perspective, an evolutionary species perspective, we always will prioritize physical safety first. That part of your brain develops first. If we don't stick to a goal, it's because we have a need that hasn't been met yet, something we call a competing commitment. So it may well be that you want to change your fitness and get fitter and stronger, but you may have a physical issue that is taking precedence over that. So it will always come in that order. Growth and development will always be sacrificed to ensure emotional and physical safety. This tends to be the problem with most goal setting. So we'll see in a second that a lot of goal setting really assumes that we're in what we call human mode, that everything's okay and there's no reason not to do stuff. And that if we can't do it, it's because we need to kind of man up or just get on with it. So this is going to be determined which of those things we're in. Is our brain needs to know what our priorities are. Now, as you can see from this slide here, now this is a real cross section. Obviously, it's not coloured, that's been highlighted, but the actual shapes and structures are very, very real here. So in the green section here, this is your spinal cord coming up through your neck and into something which we call the kind of brain stem and cerebellum. This is the most primitive, primal part of your brain. This is the part of the brain that's concerned purely with physical survival and physical safety. It's the part of the brain that controls how your kidneys function, it controls your blinking, it controls your liver, your gut, all the stuff that you have no control over. It's all kind of done automatically and unconsciously. So this bit is concerned with keeping us physically alive. That bit is the kind of big brother. Now, from an evolutionary perspective, that bit came first. And this is why we kind of nickname it the reptile brain, because it's a part of the brain, both in structure and function, that we share with most animals, including reptiles. Now, reptiles just have that part of the brain. Then we evolved this brown bit here. Now, this brown bit is what we call the limbic system. And it works in addition to the brainstem. This still continues to function to look after physical safety. We then evolved as a species to develop the limbic brain, which is really primarily concerned with emotional safety, keeping us part of a group, a tribe, a team, giving us strength in numbers. So that's what we call the limbic system, or it gets nicknamed the monkey or the chimp brain, because again, that's a part of this, a structure that we share both in structure and function with monkeys. Again, we don't lose that bit as we evolved into humans. We simply added on this outer bit, which we call the prefrontal cortex, or the human brain. Now, this is the part of the brain that is concerned with growth, development, creativity, intelligence. It's the part of the brain that makes us uniquely human. Now, we all have these three structures, and so they're all working all the time, but what's important is which one is dominant. So we look at the brainstem, the green part first. This is a bit of concern with physical safety. It's very unconscious. We have no idea what's going on. And it essentially is always asking a question, am I safe? If the answer is no, it switches on something called the sympathetic nervous system, or the SNS. And this is our nervous system that gets us ready to interact with our environment. So if we put this into kind of fight, flight, or freeze mode. So if we think that we are in danger or trouble and we can win, we'll probably tend to enter like a fight mode. So we'll get angry, we'll get frustrated, we'll be physically priming our bodies to have a fight. If we think that we are, again, in danger, but we're in the wrong or we can't win, we'll go into flight mode where we want to run away. This is where people kind of live for the weekend or just kind of can't wait for the next holiday. It's about escaping and trying to get away from the threat. Again, it's getting your body ready to run. And if we don't know, we're simply overwhelmed, conflicted, confused, don't know whether to turn left or right, we go into freeze. This is where we procrastinate, put things off. What's what I'm looking for? Where you can distract yourself. Then you numb and you sedate and you use social media or you put things off. That's freeze mode. So really, our brain is looking at it as a three-step system. Our output, our physical strength, our energy, our confidence, our range of motion, our flexibility is determined by our brain. Now, if our brain isn't getting good input via our senses, it won't give you a good output. And this is really where the brainstem comes in. So it's a sensory-based system. And this is why we need to look at how we're moving throughout the daytime. We need to be visually looking at different things. So if you spend all day staring at a screen, you are limiting your visual field. So you're limiting the input that your brain is getting from your eyes. If you spend all day sat on your bum, you are limiting how much input your brain is getting from your sense of balance, touch, and spatial awareness. So we need to be up, moving, taking regular breaks in order that we can keep the brainstem, the reptile part of our brain, feeling happy and safe. And if it doesn't feel happy and safe because it's not sure or there's a real threat, it will put us into fight, flight, freeze mode. The limbic system, the animal brain, is concerned with emotional safety, and this way we learn patterns and routines. This one is always asking, am I safe within my group, within my working tribe, within my family? And again, in the same way that the reptile brain, if the answer is no or I'm not sure, it will switch on your nervous system, take you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Again, it's the same system here, but this one's all about stories and memories. So if we're telling ourselves there's a problem, if we're telling ourselves that we're not good enough, or life's a struggle, life's a hassle, again, your brain will react as if it's under real threat, and it will limit your energy, your confidence, and so on. We can give it a different story with the inner monologue that we're giving ourselves, our memories, our reactions, the way we deal with things. If we do that differently, we're going to get a different result. Very, very simple. So look, we have 3 parts of our brain. The reptile brain needs physical safety. The chimp brain needs emotional safety. And the human brain is why we need change and growth. Now, if those, what we call the animals, aren't happy, the human doesn't get a chance. And with the human brain, it's where we are most logical, intelligent, creative, rational. That's where we're at our nicest and at our best. The animal and the reptile brain are really concerned with surviving. And they'll often do that by being a little bit nasty at times, by being short-tempered, by being uptight, by being short and snappy and just a bit of a not nice person, in order to ensure our own survival. The human brain is much more concerned with, let's say, growth, development, making things better. And this is the thing with most goal setting. It assumes that we're in human mode the whole time. And typically the goal setting process that a lot of us go through will be what we call SMART goals, where you need to make sure that whatever you're doing is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, realistic, and timed. Now again, there's nothing really wrong with this. It's a goal setting system that kind of works, but for it to work, we have to be in a good place. And the 3 major problems with this as a system is that there's no emotion behind it, there's no meaning, and it's externally validated. So you need to have external things telling you whether you're working and whether it's succeeding or not. And that's why for a lot of us, we'll struggle to lose weight, because who wants to lose half a stone? There's no emotion there. We'll come on to a little bit later and go deeper into that. But for now, there's often no meaning behind numbers. And you're relying on a set of scales to tell you if it's working. It doesn't tap into what your brain needs. It doesn't have that emotional connection or that real meaning for you to take consistent, regular action. So what do we need to do instead? Well, we need to really manage our energy. We need clarity. We need purpose. We need to know internally that what we're doing is working. And that's when we know just deep within yourself that everything feels good. If it's a struggle, if you're having to rely on willpower or motivation or external motivation, you know it's not going to be the right thing for you because you don't have that internal connection. And we need to be emotional. We're going to have something called the 6 emotional needs later on, which will make a lot of sense as we get there. So this is what we need to really work on. Emotion, meaning, and internal validation. For a goal to work, you really, really have to buy into it. You have to have that real reason to do stuff. The process that I go through is something which we call creating a pyramid. Now, for this, there are 4 essential stages. We need to know your vision and your value, how this is going to benefit your life. We need to know your strategy. What kind of style do you want to use to do this? This kind of really means that who are you being? So do you want to be competitive and alpha and driven and be the kind of top dog? Or do you want to be more of a team player? Bit more chilled out, bit more fun, interactive, just a bit more relaxed as you do this. Again, both will work, but it needs to be what you choose to do. And then the tactics are kind of what you're doing, the actual nitty-gritty jobs that need doing. And we also need to know what skills you need to be able to do this. So what I mean by this is you need to have the skill of being able to do things for yourself, being able to take time for you. You need to be committed and put your needs first. Now, if somebody is always sacrificing themselves for their family, they find it very hard to say no, very hard to set boundaries. For them to then goal set for something that's going to benefit them is always going to be a struggle because they're going to get their own needs will be sacrificed. So you have to have the skill of putting yourself first, saying no to other people, and doing things on your terms before you start goal setting. I hope that makes sense. So the pyramid is looking like this. So it's looking at objectives, strategy, and tactics. Now, the way to look at here, this is your goal. This is your real goal. What you're looking to do, how you want to improve your life, what you're striving for. The strategy is how you're doing it, and the tactics are what you're doing. Another way to say that is why, how, what. Very often people will struggle because they'll start down here. They'll start with the what they're doing in the hope that it will change this, in the hope that it will achieve this. Now, what I always say with my guys, my clients, we need to reverse that. We need to start with the top and work our way down. Now, I will send you a longer, more detailed version of the pyramid. But just for now, know that we have to start at the top and come down. If you work at the bottom and go up, you're going to struggle. There's no doubt about it. We need to clearly define the top level, the why, before anything else. The why, the who, the what, and the how are the four things we need to consider. What this means down the bottom here, think Apple rather than Dell. Now, Apple's marketing is incredibly good. What Apple will do is they will sell you the lifestyle. This is how your life will be improved. This is what we're striving for. We're striving for a life that's connected and fun and everything flows and works. We just happen to sell computers. They come down. The last thing is, we happen to sell computers. Do you want one? Someone like Dell does the opposite. They tell you about the specifications, how good their computers are, and they'll sell you the details and then kind of say, this will improve things. The Apple approach works. It's you sell the why first, then the what. Again, what I do is I'll put another link up for a video that goes into that a lot deeper and explains it better than I did just then. There's a guy called Simon Sinek who's an incredible coach, and that's really where I've stolen that from him. So I will send you the link that will tell you that better than I can tell you that. All right, here's a little task for you. I want to start with just kind of writing down. So get a pen and paper, and I want you to kind of write down your goal. I want to lose half a stone, run half a marathon, get a promotion, move house, whatever it is. I don't want you to write the word "so that" after that initial goal, and then complete the sentence. I want to lose half a stone so that I can get back into my favourite pair of jeans again. And then you write the word "so that" again, and again, and again. And so we're getting deeper and deeper down into different layers here. Now let me give you an example. This is a real one from a couple of weeks ago. I have a skydiving friend. And a guy that came to me, he wanted to lose 10 kilos. And he wanted to lose 10 kilos so that he could be under the skydiving weight limit. It was quite a big chap. Needed to be under, I think it was 100 kilos, I think, to be able to do a tandem skydive. So he wanted to lose 10 kilos so that he could get under the skydiving weight limit, so that he can jump out of a plane, so that he can raise money for charity to help the ward that helped his child. So it's not about losing 10 kilos. It's about helping out other people that helped his family. Now you can see the switch in motivation here. If you just focus on losing 10 kilos, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. If you focus on helping other people to say thank you, that is much, much easier to motivate yourself than that initial weight loss. It's achieving the same thing, but you're just flipping it around. So the example down here, if he's focusing on losing 10 kilos in the hope that he can raise money for charity, in the hope that he can help out his family and the people that helped him, he's climbing the pyramid. If he starts with, I want to say thank you and to pay back all the help that they've given me, I'll do that by raising money through charity, by doing a skydive, and to do that I need to lose weight. Can you see the difference between the approaches? The middle layer really looks at who you want to be. Do you want to be competitive or collaborative? Do you want to be aggressive or laid back? Do you want to be a solo or a team player, at the front or in the pack? And this is really, really important to know. And a lot of us will fail with our goals because we're misaligned. We're doing things that mean we have to be competitive when in fact we want to be collaborative. Or we're doing a program that needs us to be aggressive and kind of really driven, when actually deep down we're kind of quite laid back and relaxed. And it's a struggle and an effort to do those things being somebody that we're not. And this is really important to think about who you want to be and who you need to be to get the goal that you want. And then finally at the bottom is the tactics. So the tactics are the things that you actually have to do. Now there is no getting away from this. You can't just mindset your way and think positively to a new result. You do have to do stuff. And then what I like to do here, something I call the 3 budgets. Now, this is something that was taught to me as a financial planning task. I'm self-employed. Income can often vary wildly month to month. Then it can be quite stressful. So having the 3 budgets really helped me create less stress, create more predictability, create more certainty with my finances. Now, from a financial perspective, budget number 1 is everything that I need to pay, that I can't get away from. So it's my mortgage, it's my council tax, my electricity, all the things that are kind of set fees. And if you don't pay them, you're in trouble. So I needed to work out how much I need to earn to cover the bare minimum. And that is my budget number 1, the bare minimum things. Budget number 2 is all the nice stuff. So it's my mobile phone contract, it's my broadband and TV package, it's the car I want to drive. All the things that if push came to shove, I could get rid of and just get back to the basics. So it's now the budget number 1 plus budget number 2 gives me a second figure that I would need to earn. Budget number 3 is then all the nice stuff. So it's holidays, it's meals out, it's all the lovely extras that make you feel successful. So we have 3 budgets: a minimum, a nice things, and an awesome things. As long as I am hitting my first budget, my budget number 1, I'm okay. I don't need to stress. I can strive for these things, but I don't need to do them from a place of survival. Now, this is important to then take this principle, this concept, and apply it to the things that you have to do. So we take health and fitness as a good example. Very often people will say, look, I want to drink more water, eat less processed food, cut back on sugar, stop drinking alcohol, go to the gym 6 days a week, go for a walk every night, and get a good night's sleep. All awesome things. And on a good day, that's probably achievable. But what we want to know is what's the bare minimum that you have to do to get a result. The absolute stripped back bare minimum. Now this may be from that example, drink 2 litres of water, do 20 minutes exercise, and go for a walk, for example. If things are having a good day, you might work out for longer. You might then look at your food and plan ahead. It's all things that you can focus on if you're having a good time and things are working well, knowing that you've hit this first budget. So again, we want to just kind of really work out 3 levels. Now, from a work perspective, from a personal development perspective, what I want to know from this section is what's the very, very least that you're committing to on a day-by-day basis. So even when you're having the worst day possible, you've fallen out with your kids, you've fallen out with your partner, your car's broken down, it's chucking down with rain, and your boss is being a bit mean. What do you still do to move yourself forwards? What's the bare minimum? Budget number 2 is then that bare minimum plus a few more things if things are good. You'll see this tactic used a lot in car sales. So if you've ever bought a new car, you'll always be sold the top, all singing, all dancing version first. And if you can't afford that, they'll take away the sunroof and the alloy wheels and the sat nav and give you the middle option. And if you can't afford that, then they'll take away the leather seats and the climate control and the whatever else to get down to the basic model. And that's what we're really doing with goals here and tactics for the base level of the pyramid. It's getting right down and giving yourself 3 options that you can work on. So an okay day, a good day, and an awesome day. So you have 3 level tactics. Now this way you can always move forwards. If you only ever have the top model, then you can either do it or you can't. And that leads to an all or nothing mindset and approach. And that means that we're more likely to fail. If you give yourself options, a little bit of flexibility, you are much more likely to take consistent action because at least you've done the very bare minimum. We'll struggle with goal setting when the 3 layers of our pyramid are not aligned. So if these things here are not aligned with who we want to be. So if we are, like I said before, if you're having to be competitive and to fight and to really struggle, but deep down you want to be collaborative, working as a team and doing things slow and easy, you're not going to last very long. If your objective at the top here is freedom and choice and to be relaxed, but you're, for example, calorie restricting your diet or you're punishing yourself with exercise, it ain't going to line up, right? If you're doing a really punishing boot camp, but you want to feel that you've got freedom of choice and you can do things on your terms, there's a mismatch and a misalignment between what you're doing and what you're hoping to achieve. That means that you'll have to always rely on willpower, really struggling to get things done. And long term, that means that you won't stick to it. So even if you do get the goal, you won't keep it because of that mismatch between who you are, what you want, and what you're doing. We need to make sure that your pyramid has 3 layers. What is it that you're trying to achieve? So if you go through that task, the base layer would be your objective. So again, if we take the weight loss example, I want to lose half a stone so that I can get back into my favorite pair of jeans, so that I can wear whatever clothes I want, so that I can feel confident when I walk into a room. Your top level goal is about confidence, feeling accepted, feeling respected. It's not about losing weight, it's about confidence. No corporate speak, so make sure it's real language here. You know, it's objective, it's minimal, it's real talk, it's positive, and it passes the 10-year-old test. Could you give your goal and the way you're going to do it to a 10-year-old, and could they copy what you're trying to do? Finally, we need to make sure that everything here is positive. A goal needs to be positive. We'll see in the productivity section coming up later that for goals to work, they have to be focused on something that you're doing as opposed to something that you're not doing. So it's much easier to focus on eating 3 pieces of fruit today than it is not eating cake. One's about positively doing something. The other one is about avoiding something. So make sure that your goal is positive. So we'll go into more detail with a separate pyramid video and then more in the productivity video coming up shortly.